Full disclosure, news and commentary number 105, 105, 105, 105, 105, Mortal Kombat! Hope you're doing well. My goodness. Uh, Instead of rattling off my Patreon people, I actually put together a little thing at the end. A little rolling credits thing, like I'm a real YouTuber now. The pic in the thumbnail, that's Miss Quinn. I've decided to just kind of go for, people seem to really like it when I put up just sort of random pictures from my life or from PCW back in the day. So that's the lovely Miss Quinn. One day I will tell the story of the lovely Miss Quinn in Platinum Championship Wrestling. In fact, let me write that down. Let's make that a Patreon video because the story is really cool, really interesting. And again, my God, we need more Miss Quinns in wrestling, especially Georgia wrestling. My God, do we? Yeah. So, and I don't have an unboxing today. It's the first time I haven't had an unboxing in over 3 months. Holy shit. So that's how much people have been sending me stuff. Feel free to keep doing that. This week's a huge one for me, of course, WrestleMania week. And it begins Wednesday night. I'll be at the No Peace Underground show in Orlando. Looking very much forward to that. And then it's on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all day, all night. We got what you need. Only on Steve TV. And then Sunday, I'll be at WrestleMania. Lots to talk about. Lots to talk about. Something I wanted to make you hip to, dude, is 10:30 on Saturday mornings. Ron Nemi and Lenny Leonard host a radio show out of Tampa. Yes, legit radio. Right now, the show's 30 minutes long, and it focuses on pro wrestling. They've had great guests. Their first week, they had Eric Bischoff. And last week, they had Molly Holly. And both shows are really good, especially the Molly Holly one I thought was particularly great. And then this Saturday, they have Kevin Sullivan. Like, Steve, I don't live in Tampa. I can't hear that. You can just go online. I'll put the link below if I remember to. And then you can just, Saturday at 10:30. It's 30 minutes long. No fuss, no muss. They just interview the people. You can actually call in and ask questions if you would like. So it's that cool. APW did a show, but they didn't give a crowd number. Renegade had 70. West Georgia Wrestling, Rob Rod let me know, had 140 with a really hot Hat Pin Mary kind of crowd where the old ladies were trying to kill people. So that's great. Strange story. So WWA 4 needs a wrestling ring. So there's a GoFundMe for that. I'm going to be the asshole and ask the question. So I looked at the GoFundMe and they want $7,500. You can go to High Spots and get a 16-foot ring for $5,000 all in with everything that you need. Or an 18-foot ring all in for $5,500. The fuck is $7,500 for? And by the way, one of the rings that they have is my fucking ring that Frank Aldridge stole from me. Fun trivia there. But I'll let that go. I was told that KLT drew 370. So a bit down, and certainly down from the Larietto show that charged twice as much money, at least. The second night of the Larietto show, by the way, the one that took place in the Toombs County Middle School, had $468 paid, $495 total. God damn. For night 2 of the Aces and Eights reunion stuff. Holy moly. So Pro South, we have a new number 1 contender to Austin Towers, and it's Tyler Culprit. Southern Fried drew a sellout of 250 for what was described as an incredibly hot show, and Southern Honor came in at 300. David Ali ended up beating Gunnar Miller. And now the next show, I think Rob Rod got this wrong in his report. The next show, their main event, correct me if I'm wrong, please, anybody from Southern Honor, is Fear, which is Logan Creed and Sunny Days against David Ali and Austin Tower in a bunkhouse match. That's the main event of their next show. Oh, Eric Walker has graced us with a video about Viral. Viral, not this weekend, but the weekend after, is going to have their first show in a long, long time, and Eric Walker did another bang-up job talking about what we were going to see, and that is right here.
World Walker here, and this is Eye on Georgia. Welcome to Eye on Georgia, where I take the hottest shows in the South and put them front and center on the world stage. Today, we're talking about the return of Viral Pro Wrestling, April 17th in Thompson, Georgia. And with their first show back, Undeniable, they are making a very, very strong argument for the Georgia Wrestling History Awards. So, let's break it down real quick. First off, we have tag team action, all-star special, William Huckabee and Hold My Beer Hansen versus the Ugly Ducklings. Now, the question has to be asked, with Lance Lude out due to health issues, is Rob Killjoy going to go it alone, or do the Ducks have a surprise up their sleeves for All-Star Special? Something of note here. The winners of these next 4 matches will go on to a 5-way elimination match to determine the new Viral Pro champion. In your first qualifying match, you have Sean Legacy versus Derek Driver making his debut. Now, Sean Legacy's been on an upswing since coming back from his injury. However, he's been dealing with someone called the Unknown in Viral. Is this going to affect him going into this qualifying match, into the title match, or is the debuting Driver going to take advantage of it? Something to see. Next up, you had Matt Sales versus Owen Knight. Matt Sales, unfortunately, going down to an injury. And so, I've been hearing a couple of rumors floating around. Owen Knight, he may get a bye, but I've also heard other rumors that have said that the committee has someone in mind to replace Matt Sales. Who it is, I don't know. You may just have to be in the house to find out. Next up, we have a match that has piqued my interest. Joshua Cutshaw versus Timmy Lou Retton. Now, both of these guys have faced each other in tag team action. I'm familiar with Joshua from the Carolinas, but Timmy Lou Retton has made an incredible and astounding transformation and has been wrecking everywhere he's been. And I think this match is going to be an excellent chance for these two to show exactly what they got. This one is the match to keep your eye out for. Maybe even a match of the year candidate. Another match that has severely piqued my interest. You have Montana Black versus John Davis. Now, Montana Black, a very talented young man, up and down the Mid-Atlantic, but there's a reason why John Davis has established dominance over the course of his career. But to hear the candid words from Montana Black telling John Davis he respects you, but he does not fear you. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 men are walking into this match, but I can guarantee you, knowing what I know, only one of them's walking out. Lastly, you have a 5-way elimination scramble match to determine the new Viral Pro champion. The 4 winners of the previous matches and the revolutionary Darius Lockhart, who was stripped of the Viral Pro championship but given a bye to this match. Now, I can only imagine his mindset going into this match. Not only was he stripped of the championship, but he has to survive 4 other men in an elimination match to get back his championship. I can only wonder who are the other 4 men going to be. All I know is that match, whoever's involved, can and probably will be yet another match of the year candidate. And with that, that is your Viral Pro review for April 17th in Thompson, Georgia. This has been Eric Walker with yet another gentle reminder to you to keep your eye on the world.
It will be nice to have Viral back in the fold. Absolutely. Really, really great. Eric Walker, by the way, is the first recipient of the Jericho Award. So Lance Storm does something similar to what I do. He does an analysis of a match for you. He does a whole write-up and a whole big thing. It costs a pretty penny, but I think it's a smart idea to have Jericho give away 5 of these. And so Eric Walker, by virtue of his videos and his promos, is the first one to get accepted. Congratulations, Eric. Eric puts in that work, and he's really a student of this thing, and he's making it happen. Can't be mad about that. Our commentary, by the way, is the origins of pro wrestling and how it can lend itself to what's going on today in pro wrestling. And right before the commentary, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag about something that a lot of people have been asking me about, and I went and found out the truth, and I'm going to give that truth to you. March is over. Match of the year, I wasn't sent anything or didn't see anything that knocks off the person that I would say was match of the year as of end of February. So it shall remain. And right now that is Nolan Edward against Anthony Henry from Action. I have not seen a better match yet or haven't been informed of one. So send me the matches if you think yours can knock that one off. Promo, same. I haven't seen any promo that I thought knocked that one off the perch. Though a couple people sent me promos, one of which I found incredibly hilarious and intriguing, but nonetheless, I don't think it's promo of the year material. Still made me laugh, though, and that's great. Feud of the year. Now I think it's a toss-up between Zach Mosley and Skrilla or Todd and Manders. Southern Fried seemed like they really got that thing way back on track, and I find it fascinating. And now I'm going to put a group. I think Exotic Youth is clearly the group or tag team to beat right now. They're all over the fucking place. And they're like holding up at least 4 promotions. And really are the main crux of those promotions. And they're getting out and about everywhere and doing everything they're being asked to do. Bryce Cannon, Zach Mosley, and Pepper Bottom. I fucking hate that name. But Exotic Youth is making it happen. So that's my group right now. If you notice, I'm adding sort of a category each month. But you got to ask yourself, who's the promotion of the year right now? I think that's up in the air. I thought it was interesting that Southern Honor apparently addressed it in their show, or Gary Lamb is like, Southern Honor is still planning to be a promotion of the year. Well, good. But I think a number of people are now in contention, and their crowd slipping to 300 definitely makes them the looking mortal thing is definitely continuing for Southern Honor. That's definitely part of the story there. But they're also getting a number of things going. They have a number of angles happening. So we'll see if they can kind of get back on the schneid. By the way, the guest for In This Corner, which is the radio show that Ron Nemi does. Ron Nemi, who's going to be a guest on our for Tipping Point tomorrow, along with Shug D. Larry just told me. So they're going to be both of the guests tomorrow night. Ron, who's going to be talking about all that crazy stuff going on with IWTV WrestleMania week. I'm actually going to have lunch with him tomorrow as well. So that's cool. And I'm going to check out some of the digs in Tampa. I'm going to take a look at where I'm going to be staying, as well as maybe if I have time to check out a couple of venues as well, where I'm going to be. I mean, I've been to a bunch of them already. Don't get me wrong, but it's always good to know. I just like having the feel of things and that kind of thing. So, they're going to have Kevin Sullivan as their guest on Saturday. What the fuck? Kevin Sullivan. Pretty big shit. The WWA 4. So they want, for their ring, for this GoFundMe, they want $7,500. But like I said, on High Spot, $5,000 for a 16-foot ring, $5,500 for an 18-foot ring. And then people are saying, like, Steve, why are you being such an asshole about this? Because you can get a ring for $5,000 or $5,500, brand new, that is perfectly great. Just saying. All right. We're going to get to the commentary relatively quickly, but first, the question I was asked more than any this weekend. So David Garrison apparently is calling it quits, though you can't really quit. You can't retire from a thing that's just your hobby. And I mean, and for David Garrison, it was most definitely his hobby and his cat's paw against the wrestling world that had turned him down. So David Garrison quit as the promoter, and I mean, Total Aggression Pro hasn't fucking running forever, and you know, in the OSWA building, and they haven't fucking running for. So that shit's all dead and gone and buried. I saw the fucking Bobby D promo for Southern Violence, and I actually liked it quite a bit. So I think it's a much better role for him than fucking running a shitbird promotion. So I'm happy for him that he's at Southern Violence doing his thing. But nonetheless, so David Garrison's out, and he mentioned this champion from another promotion that came and denigrated their promotion on the commentary or whatever the fuck. And he was pissy about it, and so I asked around, and because a lot of people wanted to know, and I was going to save this for Patreon, but fuck it. I think he deserves the credit. So apparently it is Scott Mason of fucking Anarchy Wrestling who hurt David Garrison's feelings. So Scott Mason, you motherfucking heel. You know what you've done? Do you understand, Scott Mason? I'm talking right to you. Pull this shit closer. Hotness over my shoulder. Hotness over my shoulder. Scott Mason, do you know what you've done? I'll tell you what the fuck you've done. In this time after COVID, when it seems like everybody is running again, and most people are of the mind of, this is great that everybody's back and that there's a ton of shows for the guys to work and all this stuff. I'm always of the mind of, we always got to be in the process of whittling. I think, you know, all these people say this cliche of competition's great. But here's the part that people don't like about competition is great, which is things have to fucking die in competition. There has to be a loser, and those losers have to go out of business. And so, Scott Mason, if you had any part in motherfucking David Garrison quitting, the state of Georgia and Georgia wrestling in general owes you a debt of motherfucking thanks. And I think it's lovely. And in fact, I'm going to let a little news out of the bag. You know, I've never been a merch guy. I'm just like, but it's come to my attention that an artist that I really motherfucking like is going to make something for me. And if that thing winds up as great as I think it is, I'm finally going to do merch. Because I just didn't want something that looked kind of And I didn't even know what that would be anyway. What would Steven Platinum fucking merch be? And quite frankly, if you want to fucking give me money, then fucking give me money and get something for your money. Get some kind of service. That sounded weird. You know what I mean. Like, lots of people give me money to fucking look at their matches or look at their promos or help them out with something or evaluate things, and love it, right? But if this logo ends up being fucking as awesome as I think it's going to be, and I end up having merch, Scott Mason, you're getting the motherfucking second shirt after I give myself one. So, congratulations, Scott motherfucking Mason, for making the wrestling world a better place. And now our commentary. Larry was really taken with the Gorgeous George match review I did. A lot of other people contacted me and said, like, I would watch this, but I'm just not into Gorgeous George or like old wrestling, and and that made me fucking profoundly sad. Because in that video is a ton of shit to learn from. But more than that, it told me that what I suspected about pro wrestling for years is absolutely true, which is other forms of entertainment and sports and all this stuff, they know their fucking past and they acknowledge it and they embrace it and they love it. But pro wrestling hates itself. And a lot of hating itself is the fucking laziness that comes from, I'm just not going to learn and I'm just going to pretend that shit that happened then has no application to now. And then I realized that a lot of people probably don't even know what the fuck pro wrestling is. And I can tell this by people's reaction to critics of pro wrestling. Or if when somebody says that shit's fake and then wrestling people get their fucking nuts in a motherfucking twist. And this is from WWE on down. Oh, call it fake and fake. I'm going to tell you the origins of pro wrestling. I'm going to tell you the weird relationship that the public has had with pro wrestling and how you can use these things to your fucking advantage. So, pro wrestling began as a money hustle, nothing else. Go to the carnival, sideshow attraction, come wrestle the exotic fucking Samson, and whoever can last in the ring with fucking Samson, and it wasn't, I mean, it was just a platform basically. Whoever can last with whatever exotic motherfucker that they had, who had a gimmick, right? Probably a hot chick dressed in a scantily exotic fashion. Keep in mind, where did these carnivals go? Fucking small town America, all over the place, right? Scooping up the money from the small towns. They generally didn't do this shit in the big cities, right? They went to the places that were starving for the entertainment. So they really got into the pro wrestling. Does that apply nowadays? Yeah. Where do you fucking draw better in Georgia? And Florida for that matter. Right? Where do you draw? You draw in the fucking small towns. It's places Larietto are running, killing it. Canton, Georgia. Like, these are the places that are drawing. And it's not Atlanta. Atlanta's an incredibly difficult place to do fucking wrestling. Ask AWE. Ask me. Right? However, so you'd go there and you'd watch. Whoever can last X amount of time with Samson on the platform, you know, you'll get 10 times your money that you put in. But anybody who's even reasonably skeptical, and these are people who worked really hard for their money, so it's like, I don't know if I want to get up. So what happens? So someone who's in the crowd puts up his money, and he's not the biggest guy at all, right? He's an ordinary looking dude, and he gets up there with Samson, and he almost does it. And it's a really good show, but at the end, Samson does manage to throw him out. And yeah, the guy lost, but fuck, I'm fucking a little bigger than that guy. I think I could last with Samson. That's the birth of pro wrestling. That guy that Samson just beat was part of the act. He was a plant. The whole shit was faked. Also in these carnival shows, whoever Samsoner was a fucking, what they'd call in the business, a hooker. He was a guy who could really fucking fight. And so he's a guy who could protect himself and if need be hurt somebody. But that's not a good show if he hurts one of the fucking local boys, right? So then this first guy gets thrown out the plant and then people put up their money. I can fucking last with him. Does it behoove Samson to throw these people out as fast as possible? No. And this is a spectator thing. People are watching. So if he's really dominant over somebody, guess what he can do? Exotic looking and sounding moves. If Samson's a lot bigger than that guy, it's a lot more interesting if he picks the dude up on his shoulders, spins him around before throwing him out. And they give it a cool name. Like an airplane spin. Right? Or if you're in a small town, all of a sudden, something that has a big city name, Boston Crab, sounds a lot better. Does all of this make sense to you now? Is there ways that you can incorporate this knowledge of, hey, I'm wrestling in these small towns. If I do something that invokes a bigger fucking town, I can get some heat for that. If I invoke a feeling of something being exotic and different, maybe that could work for me. Because what I see right now is a bunch of guys who look like fucking ordinary fucking dudes. They look like the plant. Instead of like Samson and the hot girl that he's with. From Parts Unknown. From Parts Unknown. Gee, I wonder if that had its fucking origins in the carnival as well. Or being from someplace exotic and interesting. Because that's part of what you're paying for. Contact with a world until now that you have not had contact with. Now we're in the internet age and we see all kinds of things and we have a much bigger worldview in a lot of ways. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things to learn from this simple origin of the carnival. And now, since that was nothing but a money con, and then pro wrestling got on television, it was one of the first things on television. And it still ran as a con. Whatever you want to say, this idea of kayfabe is nothing but a con. It's lying. It's convincing people that something is a competitive sport that could theoretically be gambled upon. That is not real. And more than that, you make your money by getting people emotionally invested. And so they did this for decades. So can you understand why the general public's reaction to pro wrestling now would be, these motherfuckers emotionally manipulated people to fucking take their money. You know what kind of con emotionally manipulates people to separate them from their money? Every con ever. And now you'll say, yeah, but, Vince McMahon said it's not real anymore, and la la la, and everybody knows, yeah. Do you mistrust somebody that was, say, a fucking thief that embezzled millions of dollars or took millions of dollars from people over a long period of time, but all of a sudden they say, yeah, but I'm not that guy anymore? Wouldn't you still have a little bit of about that person? Especially because they never paid a penance for basically conning people out of their money and their emotional investment. What has pro wrestling ever done to make up for the fact that basically it was a fucking low-grade hustle for decades? More than 100 years now. So I get the public's resentment. Hell, its outlaw status is the reason that you're interested in it in the first fucking place, isn't it? And if that's the case, aren't there outlaw aspects to wrestling that you can hold on to and separate yourself from everybody else? Where are my fucking presentational wrestlers? My God, back in the carnival, what do you think old Samson did? How do you think he looked? How do you think he dressed? Why does nobody have a fucking ring robe that's worth a shit? Why is everybody's entrance so fucking boring and ordinary? Why didn't you watch that fucking Gorgeous George video to see the work that guy put into? And how hard he didn't have to work to make money. And to draw sellout crowds. And to have an audience that was at least 50% women. Aren't these things that we want in pro wrestling now? So my question is, what are you doing to get them? Because you know what I'm seeing everybody's doing to get them? Nothing. You know who's got a strong group of women? I'm not talking about just wrestlers. I'm just talking about in general. Nobody. Nobody has got 3 women working for the promotion on the regular that are worth a shit in any capacity. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing. And you might argue, well, it's hard because it's hard because you don't give a fuck enough to do it. There are women right now training at the fucking Nightmare Factory who are trying to go out and do shows. Why is nobody fucking booking them? Why is nobody coming up with something fucking cool for them to do? Why was I the fucking last one? Oh, Steve, that's not true. It's absolutely fucking true. Who booked the last great feud in women's wrestling? Not talking about a limited run where they had a couple of fucking matches. I'm talking about fucking the main event. Me. Where is the motherfucking carny in you pussies? Where the closest thing to carny that we get nowadays from anybody is somebody who's shifty. I'm not talking about someone who's shifty. I'm talking about somebody who can tantalize the imagination and get money for it. Somebody who can instill the one feeling in a pro wrestling fan that nobody is instilling. Nobody. And it's the key to the whole fucking thing. And it's not just I love so and so or I'm mad at so and so. It's the same thing that carnivals are based on. It's the same thing pro wrestling could still be based on. But if you look at the failings of WWE, AEW, and all the rest of them where they're coming up short, is because they've missed this fundamental fucking thing about wrestling. And yes, I'm going to tell you what it is right now. And that thing is hope. I hope that this person that I have emotionally invested in gets their justice and I can share this moment of true triumph with them. When's the last time that fucking happened? I hope that I can see this promotion that I've invested money and time in and my heart. I hope I can see them doing better and getting bigger and bigger crowds and just being a better and better show and getting the adulation and attention that they want and deserve. I hope. Until these wrestlers and wrestling people plug into this idea of creating and instilling hope and then fulfilling it and then setting the bar higher and doing it again, you don't get to call yourself fucking carnies. Fuck, I don't think you even get to call yourself pro fucking wrestlers. Because the heart of pro wrestling is about hope. Now, back in the day, they did it through emotional manipulation in order to separate people from their money by pretending something was real that was not. Nowadays, that doesn't mean that that goes away. The hope can come from performance. The hope can come from interaction with that crowd. But it seems like everybody has fucking forgotten that fundamental truth about entertainment and sports and whatever in general. Isn't that what makes sports great? I hope. I hope that the team does better this year. I hope. I hope that they can come through. I hope that they get a good draft pick. I hope. Without that hope, there is no fan base. And pro wrestling, I think you've forgotten that too. You need that hope. I hope. And that's why I get mad at the Jim Cornettes and Dave Meltzers and all the rest of these motherfucking pundits. Because they don't fucking like this shit anymore. Or they just stump for it like they're being paid by the groups. But none of them really have that fundamental thing of hope. Well, motherfuckers, I'm here to tell you that I do. I hope. And that's why I cover all these wrestling shows. Why do you cover shows if you don't fucking like them sometimes? Because I have hope. And who I really have hope in is for the young bookers and the young promoters and the young fucking wrestlers out there who can learn and get guided by any number of people who have this knowledge and are willing to impart it. That just like the immigrant who moves to America hopes that for a better life for their children, I hope that all of these young guys who are now getting put on and getting that spotlight, I'm hoping that they can make wrestling better. Because I have this feeling that up top, they've lost their hope. But maybe this next generation who still has that hope can instill it in the fans, instill it in their fellow workers, and inspire even somebody like me. Hope. This has been Full Disclosure.